Do you want answers from AI? Hit the subscribe button below for more of my conversations with AI.
Climate change is one of the most pressing challenges facing the world today, and it is a complex and multifaceted issue that requires a comprehensive and interdisciplinary approach. Unfortunately, many myths and misconceptions about climate change can prevent individuals and societies from taking the necessary action. This video aims to debunk some of the most common myths surrounding climate change by examining the scientific evidence and providing examples of their inaccuracy. By understanding and addressing these myths, we can work towards a more sustainable and resilient future for ourselves and the planet. Here are the 8 myths about climate change debunked by science. Myth 1: Climate change is just a natural cycle. This myth claims that the Earth's climate has always gone through natural warming and cooling cycles and that the current warming trend is just part of that cycle. However, the current warming trend is primarily caused by human activity, especially the burning of fossil fuels, which releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The science behind climate change shows that the current warming trend is unnatural. This myth is often used by people who deny the human impact on climate change, claiming that the Earth's climate has always gone through natural cycles and that there is no need to worry about current warming trends. Myth 2: The Earth's climate has always changed, so current changes are insignificant. This myth claims that since the Earth's climate has gone through natural warming and cooling cycles in the past, the current changes are not significant. However, while the Earth's climate has gone through natural warming and cooling cycles, the current rate of change is much faster than previous cycles, and the scale of human impact is much larger. This means that recent changes are indeed significant and potentially cause considerable harm. This myth is often used by people who minimize the impact of climate change, claiming that current changes are just part of a natural cycle and not significant enough to warrant action. Myth 3: Climate models are unreliable and cannot predict future changes. This myth claims that climate models are unreliable and cannot predict future changes accurately. However, climate models are based on rigorous scientific research and have been used to predict past and current climate patterns accurately. While there is always uncertainty in any scientific prediction, climate models have been consistently shown to be reliable in their predictions of future climate change. People who doubt the scientific consensus on climate change often use this myth, claiming that climate models are unreliable and cannot be trusted. Myth 4: Climate change is only a problem for future generations. This myth claims that climate change is only a problem for future generations and that current generations do not need to worry about it. However, climate change is already causing significant harm to people, ecosystems, and economies around the world. While future generations will also be impacted, the effects of climate change are being felt today and will only worsen if we do not take action to mitigate them. This myth is often used by people who delay action on climate change, claiming that it is not urgent and can be dealt with by future generations. Myth 5: Climate change is a political issue, not a scientific one. This myth claims that climate change is a political issue and that the science behind it is not settled. However, the underlying science is not political but based on rigorous research and analysis. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that human activity is causing climate change and that we must take action to mitigate its effects. This myth is often used by people who deny the scientific consensus on climate change, claiming it is a political issue and not based on scientific research. Myth 6: Climate change is a hoax. This myth claims that climate change is not real and is a hoax perpetuated by scientists and environmentalists. However, most climate scientists agree that climate change is real and primarily caused by human activity. Individuals or organizations often promote this myth with a vested interest in continuing to use fossil fuels or rejecting science-based policymaking. Myth 7: Climate change is not urgent. This myth claims that climate change is a problem for the distant future and that we have plenty of time to deal with it. However, climate change is already causing severe impacts, including rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and biodiversity loss. This myth is often promoted by individuals or organizations that are resistant to taking action on climate change or believe that their short-term economic interests take priority over the planet's long-term well-being. Myth 8. It's too expensive to take action on climate change. This myth claims that reducing greenhouse gas emissions will be too expensive and hurt economic growth. However, many studies show that the cost of inaction on climate change will be much higher in the long run and that transitioning to a low-carbon economy can create new jobs and economic opportunities. This myth is often promoted by individuals or organizations that are resistant to taking action on climate change or have a financial interest in maintaining the status quo. In conclusion, climate change is a real and urgent problem that requires immediate action. Despite the prevalence of myths and misinformation about climate change, the scientific consensus is clear: human activities, notably burning fossil fuels, are the primary drivers of climate change. It is up to individuals, businesses, and governments to take action and work towards a more sustainable and resilient future for ourselves and future generations.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you have questions for AI, drop them in the comments below.